Hey guys, welcome to my first fantasy baseball video. This is something that I've wanted to do for such a long time now, but vlogging actually takes a lot of work and I've only just realised that. So yeah, this is my first video. As you can tell, I am Australian, but I have been watching this game for probably the past 10 or so years now. And I do know quite a lot about it. I'm a fantasy baseball writer for a few online sites. But enough of that. Today I want to talk about the Royals outfield. My personal opinion is that they're in for some pretty big things this year. There's three guys, the starters, Kane, Gordon and Soler. I think all of them are big time fantasy value, and I think it's worth keeping an eye on in the later rounds of your draft. You can pick up one of those guys. So the first player I want to talk to you about today is one of the oldest. It's Lorenzo Kane. He's kind of been a little bit forgotten about since the Royals won the World Series. He's probably going to be out at centre field this year. They're trialling Gordon in the spring to see if he can fit in there, see if he can take some of the pressure off Kane. He did miss he did play in 101 games last year, so Kane has had a tendency to miss a lot of time, which probably scares a lot of fantasy owners. But from all accounts, his hamstring does seem to be okay, and I do think he still holds some value. Value that I think he holds is the fact that even if he is leaving centre field, he's a potential designated hitter. He batted 287 average last year, hit 9 home runs, 56 RBIs and 14 stolen bases. They aren't great stats, and he does have a 19.4% strikeout rate, but at age 30 he's seeing the ball really well still. He was swinging at pitches inside the zone 70.2% of the time and outside of the zone 29% of the time. That's still a really good eye for a 30-year-old. And I think if you leave it to a later round, he'd still definitely be available. Aside from Kane though, the main guy that I really wanted to speak about, and I've been harping on about this for such a long time with people, is Jorge Soler. I think he is just one of the biggest sleepers available in the draft this year, and he could really go this way or that way. He could be a complete bust or a complete sleeper. Right now though, I still think he's a massive sleeper, only because we still don't know what he can do. He's coming from the Cubs that, Joe Madden didn't use him entirely well. He, played a tiny role in the postseason, but it wasn't anything that thrilled a lot of people and excited a lot of people. And like the rest of the Royals outfield, really, he's missed a lot of time as well. He's been on the DL 6 times already in his career, and at 25 years old, that's a lot. So that's what scares a lot of people away. But for me, I've already drafted him in a league in probably the 12th round. That just shows how scared people are to draft him and how people seem to think that he had the opportunity in the Cubs lineup. Why didn't he take advantage? Well, really, I don't think he was batting in the right spot with the Cubs, and I just don't think he played very well. The biggest thing though is he's batting a 265 average with empty bases. He's a perfect setup man for the Royals. He has 27 career home runs, and probably the most valuable guy on the Royals lineup was Salvi Perez, Alex Gordon, and just the fact that he's improved on his defensive routes just makes him a great asset to have. Again, that age is such a big factor. If you miss out on guys like Chris Bryant, Mike Trout, and Mookie Betts, he's someone that will fall to that third or fourth tier that people forget about after McCutcheon and Upton and those kind of guys, and you can snag him really late. So I think Soler is someone that you really need to keep an eye on. And the final guy in the Royals outfield is, of course, trusty old Alex Gordon. Where does he stand? No one really knows anymore. I've seen him fall in rankings right outside the top 100. He's nowhere near probably a top 30 outfielder anymore, which sucks. And all of that is to do with last season. He was really average last season. He's been working out like a madman, as he always does, because he's just a crazy workout fiend. But this year he should be batting leadoff for the Royals. And again, he has such great on-base skills that I couldn't not take him in a later round either if he was still available. He walked 52 times last year. Yeah, he did strike out 148 times. But his OBP, which was 312, there's no way it stays that low. It will definitely be a lot higher up. Just because I think the Royals offense in general is getting a lot of pieces back. You're getting Mustakas back. You've got a complete side that's rejuvenated and ready to to push for the postseason again. Remember, this was a wild card team towards the midway point of the year, and then everything just blew apart. So um, that's another guy. I think Gordon finds his name again, and he played through an injury last year. He had a wrist injury that no one really knew about and no one really gave him the credit for, and I don't think he even let on at how badly he was hurt. The other thing is he just wasn't making good contact with the ball. 28% of the balls he hit were line drives. That's never going to be a great number for any kind of hitter, especially someone that's as old as Gordon and trying to basically lead an offense that has no one else there available. So aside from that, the Royals outfield I think is probably going to be potentially one of the strongest in the league this year. It's nowhere near the Cubs, and it's probably nowhere near the Pirates either, or even the Astros. But I think in their division, it's going to be one of the strongest, and it should produce one of the most problematic offenses for any defense to deal with. Remember, the Royals ranked one of the lowest teams in runs scored last season, so I could not expect them to be that poor again this year. Aside from the three starters for fantasy reasons, there's Orlando and there's Brandon Moss. I only see any value in Brandon Moss. He's 33 years old. He did hit 17 home runs last year. Bubba Starling's a guy that was talked about, probably a year or two ago. He hasn't turned out to be anything great, so if you miss out on any of the Royals outfielders, I would consider Moss in a very, very late round situation, but that would be about it. So that's it for me on the Royals outfield. If you like this video, just give me any feedback you can, because it's obviously my first one. I'm looking for tips that I can improve on. Shoot me a follow on Twitter and leave a comment if you like. I also have an article up on Justin Upton and Andrew McCutcheon and what you can expect from them in a bounce back kind of year. Thanks guys.